Welcome back. This is By the Book, and we're your married relationship coaches. I'm Sent.
I'm Sil.
And today we're talking about Married at First Sight, Season 15. We're in between the finale and the reunion, and we're just having these conversations at home, guys. So we're talking about Alexis and Justin, sort of. This is going to be a sidebar. If you join us every week, you already know what it is. If you haven't, go ahead and hit subscribe and join this party. We are going to take a small piece of what we've been talking about with Alexis and Justin and blow it up into its own video, because it's the conversation we're having here at home, and we want to have it with you guys too. So, Alexis is that person that everybody loves to hate, especially my husband. I have said time and again, I am not a big Alexis fan, but I do understand certain aspects of things that she's done. And as we go on with this video, we're probably going to talk about, my thoughts about some good things and some not so good things. But the question that I'm asking my husband today is, as much as we beat up on Alexis and say what the bad guy she is because of this and that she did to Justin, my big question is, what could Alexis have done? Like, how could she have handled this situation better? Right? Like, I mean, we've seen somebody handle the situation in Married at First Sight, the absolute worst we could imagine, in Alyssa last season. We've seen somebody on the flip side handle the situation better than they should have this season in Kristen. So I don't know where Alexis falls in this spectrum, but we're all human beings, right? And Alexis, to me, and I know there's a lot of you out there who watch and you support Justin and you hate Alexis, and it's fine. Put those comments below. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm happy to have the conversation. I'm happy to have a healthy disagreement. But the thing is, Alexis and Justin, but right now we're talking about Alexis. Alexis was dealt kind of a poor hand. Okay.
Okay. Well, you asked me the question, but I'm gonna ask. Let me before I
you gonna answer my question with a question?
Yeah. You felt she was dealt a shorthand.
A bad hand.
A bad hand.
It's like playing spades and you got all hearts in your hand. It's a bad hand.
I don't think it was that bad. I don't. Okay. All right. Let me be honest.
Please do.
All right. It's not a hand full of trumps. You know what I'm saying? She don't have a whole bunch of spades and the aces. She don't have, but she does have some playing power.
No, she don't. She got the 2, 3, and 4 of every suit. No, but
oh my goodness.
Listen.
Okay.
This is what I'm looking at. I mean, just let me paint the picture for you real quick.
All right.
Because it frustrates me. It makes me sad for her when I hear people really beat up on her. Yeah. Now, she has done some things bad, but let me just start with the hand she got dealt to begin with. She gets on this show, and y'all, I want to tell you this first. I asked my husband this earlier, full disclosure. I said, what could Alexis have done differently? And he was like, not get on the show.
She could have stayed at home.
But I'm like, okay, given that she didn't, given that she signed up, given that she answered her 200 or 2,000 questions, I don't know how many questions they answered, and she committed herself to this process. She got on the show. You couldn't have predicted that you would get with a Justin. You didn't know what you were going to get. She probably was hopeful that the person she would get with would be maybe his height. But probably nothing else that he had to offer was what she was looking for. So I'm painting this picture, right? She gets down the aisle. She sees this guy who is tall, but I believe to her, unattractive otherwise. Right? He doesn't have the football body build that she was talking about. She liked. He's very lean, not muscular at all. I don't know how she found his face to be, if she found that to be attractive or not. That's up in the air. And then he has some effeminate mannerisms that he does with his lips and stuff.
Very true.
So these are all things that right off the bat, I think to most women, many women, me, whatever, would find unappealing, unattractive.
Okay, but hold up. All right, but we know that with Married at First Sight, you can ask for what you want, but you're not guaranteed to get all of those things or any of those things.
Oh, I'm not done.
So, I mean, but then at the same token, who's to say Justin got exactly what he wanted too?
You gotta stay on topic. We're
talking
about Alexis right now.
All right, well, go ahead.
We can have a whole other sidebar about Justin and what he got.
Okay.
However, so she gets down the aisle. She sees him. She's not attracted to him. But not only that, but she realizes she's met him before on a dating website and she's rejected him. Why did she reject him? Probably because it seemed like, from what she said, he was a little thirsty. He was pursuing her. He found her on another social media channel and was pursuing her on there. And she didn't like it and kind of shut that down. Yeah. So his personality, at least his online personality, she doesn't necessarily prefer that well either.
That's true. So she's already rejected him before she met him.
It's already things about him that made her say he was a no.
Yes.
Nonetheless, she goes into this process and actually she has a decent time with him on the honeymoon.
Yes.
She didn't reject him straight away for not how he looked or how he behaved. She took him at face value here on the show and dealt with it.
True.
Now, I think what she also may have started to realize while they were on the honeymoon is he's also very over emotional. And you said yourself, just based upon other things that we've seen throughout the show, she sees emotion as a weakness.
True, she does.
Okay, so now she sees a man who she finds unattractive, his behavior is unappealing, and his emotions are weak. All right, so now these things are starting to stack up in her negative column.
Yeah.
In my opinion, she's still trying. They haven't gotten to the Newton part yet. Okay, they leave the honeymoon, they go to Newton. You know, they go, the dogs have the fight, Newton gets his eye bit, whatever. Now she's seeing a man who she felt like didn't fully disclose to her how dangerous his dog may be to another animal. Could they have both handled that situation better? Yes. Could they have kept the dog separate? Yes. But she felt like she went into that uninformed or underinformed by her husband, who should have taken the lead and said, look, my dog has bitten other dogs before. Why don't we keep them separate? Why don't we put one of them in the kennel as they meet so that they're safe?
You know what? All of those things, definitely true. Everything this long list of everything is true.
I'm not done.
I know you're not. And for those who don't know, yes, my wife is an attorney, so she's setting up all of this stuff systematically. She's setting up this whole case for Alexis against Justin systematically as we speak. So go ahead, counselor. Go ahead. Continue. I'm just trying to give her a fair shot. I'm not saying she's a perfect person. Yeah. Okay? I'm not. And we can go back all the way to the beginning and start talking about the things she did wrong. Yeah. But I'm just saying what she dealt with, what she was up against, and what are her options while she's in this process. Okay? So now she's found out that her husband is not as communicative as she would like for him to be. He didn't tell her upfront information that she wanted. She confronts him about this, and he's very defensive about it. You know, he gets defensive to the point where when they're sitting down at the candy store together, that he gets real sarcastic with her. He's like, well, you're just perfect. Okay, now you're additionally a poor communicator. Yeah. Now they go home. I think I might be getting this out of sequential order, but they have a conversation on the nanny cam where they're arguing and he starts swearing at her. So she's like, okay, all these things now add to the list. My husband swears at me when we're in arguments. And even worse communicator than I thought before. Okay. They get past this point and try to recover. She's trying to give him another chance, or so she says. Some of you are going to say she already checked out. Maybe she did, maybe she didn't. But at least she put forth that she was trying to continue on with this process and give him another chance. And they had some fun times after that. And if I missed something, please fill it in for me. No, you missed nothing. Don't y'all tell her she missed anything.
I'm sure I missed something.
No, she didn't. Go ahead.
So she goes forward and she messes up being in Morgan's marriage. That was her own flaw. Mm-hmm. But just to be fair, because I know a lot of us hold her accountable for that and we use that to vilify her, right? Uh-huh. But I'm just talking about her dealings with Justin, what she had to deal with Justin. Let's just hold Ben and Morgan out of this for a second before we start, Alexis bashing, okay? She then goes so far as to have sex with him. And even the sex is bad. Right? Like, okay. So my man is not attractive to me, not physically, not emotionally. He can't communicate with me well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He doesn't take the lead in terms of some things that I think he should, like, caring for a dog or a situation like that. I think even earlier on, it came out that she out-earns him. That may or may not be an issue. She didn't present it as one, but I'm just putting it out there. Okay. His house, his apartment is like a little box, so I don't know, but that's probably also a turn off. Mm-hmm. We get to the sex portion and the sex is bad. And not only is it bad, like, okay, he hasn't had sex in a long time, so it was quick. Yeah. It's bad and like he ain't got no thrust. Like what we supposed to do with that? Then on top of it's not even just that, but you're telling me you need me, Alexis. I'm just going to be Alexis for a second.
No, please don't.
Okay.
Okay.
You need Alexis.
Thank you.
To initiate this bad, terrible sex. What I want to initiate sex for if it's going to be bad? So This is, you know what I mean? Like, it's just one thing after another thing after another thing. And my question is, how much better could she have dealt with it? Like, what could she have done along this process? Because it's not to be Team Alexis or anything, but I honestly have stepped back and said, let me put myself in Alexis's shoes. What on earth would I have done in this situation?
Okay. Well, first of all, I think, and thank you so much for that brilliant case that you just presented.
I'm not on anybody's side.
Justin and for Alexis. However, one thing I do think that she could have done is if she really wanted to go forward in the process, as she said that she did, I think she really could have had a conversation with him. I think she could have, and if she wasn't going to be able to say what she needed to say, if she felt all those different things, I see you as weak. I see you as soft. I don't like your leadership style if you have leadership qualities. And you come off kind of feminine and all of those things that you just said.
Yeah.
So if she truly felt that, have a conversation. And if she was not able to voice those things in a way that didn't come off as mean, as disrespectful, she could have said, you know what, we have at least 2 experts we can call and get their help to mediate this thing for us, or we can get our own professional help to mediate this thing. If I don't feel competently or confidently that I can convey this message over to you in an effective, non-rude, non-disrespectful way to you. She could have done those things if she truly felt that, and then they possibly could have moved forward in a healthy way, or decided, just like Ben and Morgan, this ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
They could have done it either way, but instead of that, we saw some rudeness, we saw some meanness on her part, and do I think we're gonna get it right all the time? No, absolutely not. But there are just certain things that, especially when I say men look for the respect thing, I saw some blatant disrespect. And I think some of the men in the comment section have been saying, wait a minute, no, I see some blatant disrespect on her part that makes her mean or untrustworthy with the gossiping. You didn't want to put that on the list.
Right. I don't want to put it on the list. Separate from her relationship with him. But tell us specifically what it was mean, because I'm trying to break it down in terms of the people who really are Alexis
bashers, and see if we're not giving her a fair chance. Like, I don't want to hold her to a standard that's like unbelievably high. She's 29 years old, and the show has never had a situation where someone's called upon the experts to come and intervene, like in the manner that you just said. Yeah. They come in when they're scheduled to come in. Yeah. No more, no less. Yeah. And the only time when we've seen relationships end early is in like the most extreme set of circumstances. I feel like she could have made it worse. She could have treated him in an Alyssa Chris type manner. And look how bad we treated Alyssa, you know, because she didn't give him a shot. And she seen me. Now she seen me to me. I didn't see Alexis do anything that was comparable to what Alyssa did. Did you?
Well, the first thing at the wedding reception, when she yelled across the room about him being celibate, he whispered it in her ear, but she yelled it over to her friends. That's buku. And that's, I don't know, that's an old word. Some people probably don't get it. But that was hugely disrespectful in my book. You know, yes, you know, it was put on the show. He said it on the show, I think in a confessional or whatever. But it's different in a room full of people, and most of them he don't even know. And so I see that as not only disrespectful, but problematic. You know, no, did you ask me? It was okay for you to yell out across the room before you just did it? No, she didn't. She took it up on herself to do that. And I'll give Justin heat on this. He should have corrected that.
Right. If he felt any type of way about it. Maybe he did not.
Yeah. And obviously, I don't know if he did or if he didn't. He never came up.
Yeah.
But yes, that was disrespectful. Let me see. You want me to continue? Or?
Please continue, because I don't feel like they're the only things that I feel like Alexis really did could have been that. And that depends on how it was received by him. And then, of course, she exposed to some extent like his lack in sexual prowess or whatever. That happened too. And I do think that could have been largely embarrassing to him, but it wouldn't have come out until after the show was released, right? So in real time, at least, this wasn't something that was coming back on him to embarrass him in the moment or to disrespect him in the moment. It's disrespectful now after the fact, maybe, because it's being exposed publicly. But I feel like when she was talking to him, when he swore at her, she didn't swear at him. I didn't hear her saying curse words.
I don't know. She was cussing back.
She was?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch that back. Y'all let us know. I don't remember her cursing back at him.
I remember her throwing a few words around herself. But even at the table, when we did the video on the two dinners or whatever, at the table, you know, and I think she purposefully used words to make him look bad. And Justin being Justin couldn't handle all of that. His word choice, him being able to articulate his thought process and his feelings at that particular point, he just came off as an unhinged, emotional basket case at that particular time.
That's the point.
But that's my point, that she kind of finagled him to do that as well.
I gotta hold the adults accountable for being adults too, though, right?
Yeah, but no, I mean, there are some people who are stronger willed than other people, and they know how to pull those strings to make certain things happen. And like I said, when she's talking about him having emotional outbursts, and she was really labeling him. You know, he didn't do that to her. He didn't call her mean, rude, you know, disrespectful, and none of that stuff. Even though, she was showing some of those qualities, but he didn't do that. But yeah, she gave him some labels, and he never got past those labels. I think.
But it was well within his control to say if he felt like she was mean or rude or whatever, you just label her as, and he didn't do it. And she's not at fault for him not doing that. If he has something he wanted to call her on, then he should have called her on.
He should have. I often said that the Justin mirror was broken in that marriage. He keeps saying that marriage is a mirror. She kept reflecting at him like, you know, you're this, and that. His side of the mirror was broke. What did he tell her that she needed to work on? She was starting to tell her self. She was starting to tell herself at the end, well, I can be a little bit more open towards you and a little bit more soft towards you. And then she stopped herself and like, wait a minute, why don't you tell me what I need to work? Because he wouldn't do it.
But before I move past that dinner that you just brought up, he was disrespectful to her. And he was trying to be disrespectful to her by saying, you don't have anything to talk about. Like, that was definitely disrespectful. But she immediately called him on it. She said, what do you mean by that? Explain it. And then he started to recoil because he didn't want to face her, head on and acknowledge what he did and be like, I stand by that. I said what I said. Yeah. He didn't want to do that. So then it turned into something else. But if he's afraid of confronting her for things that she does that aren't right, then that's on Justin. And that's probably, again, part of something in him that is unattractive to her. You should be able to call. So as an adult, if somebody does something that you don't like, it's up to you to say, hey, I didn't like that. And if she senses that you don't have the strength to do that, that's going to be a problem too. Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like this.
What do you
think? At the end of the day, I feel like because Justin he presents gentler than Alexis does. Yeah. We have a tendency to sympathize with him. It's in the same way that we sympathize with Ben.
Yeah, he comes off as a nice guy.
Ben presents very gently, and Morgan seems more the aggressor, and so it's easy for us to vilify her and to kind of say, oh, poor Ben, but Ben made his mistakes.
He did.
And I'm not saying as much that Justin made big mistakes, but he has a personality, he has a character. And we've been saying this, I know I have been saying all along, he's going to be unattractive and unappealing. And I don't mean this just in a physical sense. I mean just his behavior, his mannerisms, how he presents as a man. For a woman who's looking for a manly man, he's going to be unappealing to many, many women. And how you handle that when he's also a nice guy, and then not get labeled as being the mean girl or something like that, I think is difficult. I think it was a very tight rope that she was trying to walk in not being too rude, but also not being too attracted to him during this process. Yeah. And for that reason alone, I feel a little bit sorry for her because I know a lot of us are jumping on her for her behaviors. But right out the gate, I think flat out, she was not attracted to him. But she said, hey, I mean, I guess I'm in this process. I'm going to try. And the farther it wore on, the less she liked him. And we could see it. We could feel it. We could sense it to the point where we're saying, she's checked out or she ain't into him. She's going to say no. We've been saying she's going to say no since the middle of the season. And ultimately, we were all right. But the thing is that she had a reason to feel like that. Yeah. And nobody's going to handle that thing perfectly. I think she was dealt a bad hand in terms of what would be a good match for her. And I just want to take a moment to talk about and see, where did she go so wrong? Like, what could she have done that would have made her not be vilified in this situation? What can anybody do when they're on Married at First Sight and they're immediately unattracted or put off by something in their partner to the point where it's almost an immediate no? How do you not become the villain?
Like the thing that I said, have a conversation and talk about it, be honest up front, but yet still, while you're in this marriage, know that you should show your husband some respect. I mean, it's just the bottom line of it. If you don't feel that you can be respectful, then that is your decision day at that particular time. If you feel like you can't, in some regards, honor him or whatever, then this is your decision day. It's pretty much null and void at that particular point. And yes, Justin, he has his issues. He's a people pleaser. Way too on the fringe of that, and that he was afraid, I guess, to call Alexis out on stuff. So she walked around basically telling him what he needed to fix, and she never got that from him. Yeah. And so there are certain things Well, I see Justin was negligent at, but I also see a great deal of things that Alexis was at fault with as well. So,
if she had said no, let's say a week after Newton got bitten, she would have gotten vilified then too. Everybody would have been like, she checked out early. She shouldn't have been on this show. She wasn't ready to get married. She didn't even give it a chance. She could have at least given him the 8 weeks. It would have been that. I guarantee it would have been that. But so she went on with the process, and it's still the same thing. Well, she shouldn't have been on this show then. And, she'd been saying no since the 3rd week. And she's never been
She was saying no since the 3rd week.
Yeah, but how does she win? She can't win. She got dealt a bad hand, and she had to play it.
It was a playable hand, though.
It ain't a winnable hand.
It depends on how you...
Nah, that was... A yard was getting ran on that hand. That's what was happening. That's it. It was no way for her to come out of that. You know how you take the car, your car is so bad, you ever just fold them in and be like, all right, y'all ran a Boston on that one. She either threw the cars in and lost, or she played out that whole hand and lost. It was no win for her.
That was a win. She still could have played that. I don't think the hand was that bad, because, again, she had a sacrificial husband there. That's huge.
It didn't matter because she didn't like him.
But he's sacrificial.
But what good does that do her when in the end of the day she's still gonna say no? She doesn't need him being sacrificial. All that did was make her look worse to everybody else, because they were like, oh, woo, 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 look how nice Justin is, and look at this evil witch that won't even give him a chance.
Well,
you see what I mean? The fact that you don't have any words right there, that means she didn't have a chance. There was no way she was going to come out of this without people saying shame on Alexis. And I feel bad for her. I do.
Well, I don't feel bad for her. I'll let you know that right now. I do not feel bad for Alexis, because I do think there was some things she could have done that was better than what she did.
Made mistakes. Everything you said that you pointed out is true. Not to mention she ruined Ben and Morgan's marriage, but I wanted to keep that out of this particular conversation. But that was bad. Her exposing him, for not being sexually where he needed to be, that could have been kind of bad. I mean, this is a conversation people do have with their girls, but this was public.
It was so public that the whole world knows.
Yeah, and you guys want to blame her for some people. I say you guys, but I really mean you, for letting him give his dog away. I say that's on Justin, and not so much on her. But she's the villain, so people are going to blame her for that. I don't agree with that blame. So in the grand scheme of things, how many bad things does she have in her bad column? I don't put quite as many in there. She definitely made mistakes like we all would have made if we was on Married at First Sight, and I'm so glad I was never on that show. But she also was dealt a bad hand, and it wasn't really a good way for her to get out of this situation without looking like the bad guy. No. That's my opinion.
My opinion, I don't think the hand was that bad. I think it was still a playable hand. Could she have won? Depends on how she played it,
What would have been a win for her?
I mean, even in spades, a person could be trumped down, and another person could not. Like you just said, he had a handful of hearts. She had a handful of hearts. But if that person plays those hearts right, those hearts can turn into trumps. And you can win with that.
But she didn't, at the end of the day, Justin wasn't right for her. So how was she going to win besides getting out of this marriage? She had to get out of the marriage eventually, because this wasn't the man for her. How did she win? How did she walk away from this situation without being the bad guy? And I don't think that there is an answer to that.
It's like... You gonna make me say it again?
I'm not, because we coming up on 30 minutes on this video. But that's where I feel that's where my disconnect in this is with you. Is that I just don't feel like with him not being a good match for her, and I know you guys are gonna say, but she wasn't a good match for him. That's fine. With them not being a good match for each other, she wanted out. She was going to always want out. This was going to end in the divorce one way or another. I don't see how she could have saved face in this.
Why did she say yes then?
To what?
To continuing.
I don't have the answer to that. I think she said yes to time because she told him that she would give him time if she believed that he was going to try to improve.
So you feel that was just her being... I think
she was trying to keep her word.
She was just being benevolent at that time.
I think she was trying to keep her word and saying that she would give him more time. I think ultimately she was probably 90% certain that time wasn't going to change the doggone thing. And she found that out 12 hours later.
I don't see that in Alexis. I don't.
I know, because you want to vilify her. That's the whole thing.
She's very calculating, and I do not see her giving that man time just to be benevolent.
Well, what did she give him time for? Just to be mean?
I don't punish him some more.
I don't agree with that.
I don't know.
I don't agree with that.
I don't know.
Punish herself some more.
Maybe so she can milk a little bit more of this 15 minutes of fame. It was something. It was something in there other than the grand prize of Justin. It was something. It was something in there that she had planned. I don't know what it was, but it was something.
All right, guys. We're going to let you off. Let us know what you think about this. Obviously, you see, my husband and I are having this conversation here at home. We're not done. We're gonna push end on this record button, and we're still gonna be having this conversation.
I'm not having it anymore. I'm done. I don't want to talk about Alexis no more. Getting on my nerve.
It's gonna happen. So drop your comments below. We didn't resolve a doggone thing, but maybe you guys can help us. How could Alexis have come out of this better? We know she's not perfect. She wasn't going to be perfect. But she was dealt a rough hand to deal with. And I hate vilifying her, given that she was given such a rough hand. Yes. Justin was given a bad hand too. That's fine. But right now we're talking about Alexis. So drop your comments specifically below about, was Alexis that bad? Was she dealt a bad hand? How could she have handled this better? What would you have done if you were in a similar situation? Let us know what you think. Like, share, subscribe, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.